Captains, welcome back. We are in the Edinburg again. However, we have completely changed the build. It is no longer agile. I'm sorry, Hipper fans, you're going to have to look away on this one. This is your traditional DPM with smoke. So if you'd like to skip the stats and go straight to the gameplay, the time code is below. Otherwise, stick around. We'll take a look at the build and compare it to Tenant in the Agile build and use the stats side by side to show you the pluses and minuses of each. So stick around. Here we go. A build that if you have been with us since the beginning of this series, all the way down to from the Danae up to this point, Bruce Fraser is yet again at the helm, and he will be focusing 100% into the guns and the torpedoes. Improving the range in the top slot, the torpedo range in the second, the overall damage and penetration in the third, and the reload in the fourth with our legendary perk, also with the range and reload. Our inspirations are Mimbelli and Scott for improved grouping and reload again. Moving on to the module slots, she is still fully upgraded, and in the first slot we take aiming systems mod. Second slot is steering gears because we have the improved 50% acceleration built into the ship. We have our concealment mod in the third and the main battery reload in the fourth. Moving on, we have unfortunately lost an extra consumable because we are not running fully packed, which is what the build with Tenant comes with. Instead, we have traded that, and there is a downside to Fraser in that you only get 2 smokes, 2 hydros, and 2 heals. However, the smokes are long duration and help with the concealment. Moving on for the survivability, it is still the same with the Tenant build at 36,400. The armor is also still the same, which we'll showcase in a little bit, and no torpedo damage reduction. Moving on to the artillery, and this is where we get to see a side-by-side comparison with the Agile build with Tenant and Bruce Fraser build that we're using in this match. Our main battery reload has improved by almost a full second. However, our 180-degree turn time feels more like a battleship now than a cruiser. Our AP shell damage, though, has increased a little over 300 more per shell hit, which is noticeable. And our firing range for our secondary armament is 0.2 kilometers better. For the torpedoes, they're still the same amount, but we do gain 1 kilometer range with Bruce Fraser, and our 180-degree turn time has slightly improved. Other than that, all the stats remain the same. And this is where the biggest difference between the two builds is felt. With Fraser, you get 2 knots worse speed with a much worse rudder shift time of plus 5 seconds. The turning circle radius as before never changes and cannot be altered. It's built into the ship design. So this is where you're going to see the largest disparity between Tenant and Fraser. And with that all bad maneuverability, you're going to need some extra concealment, and that's what Bruce Fraser can provide. Along with the smokes, you have a over 1 kilometer better detection by sea, and by air, you also are slightly better concealed. The guaranteed detection range is always 2, and the detectability while firing in smoke, which you need to pay attention to this time, is 5.7 because you will have your smoke screen to use, and you need to stay outside of that smoke fire penalty. As before, you are coated in 30 millimeters of armor, which is unique to the Edinburg over any other light British cruiser in the entire line, and that includes the Tier 8 Neptune and the Minotaur at Legendary Tier. No other light British cruiser, Tech Tree version-wise, has this kind of armor scheme. When you're not in your smoke screen, try to stay bow in on your targets as best as you can, but your maneuverability makes that a little bit difficult with this build. And remember, your Citadel extends from the front turret all the way to the rear turret, encompassing over 80% of the length of your ship, and in the smack dab middle where that blue section is where you're the most lightly armored, plunging fire can citadel you from afar. So if you're staying in your smoke screen and you're constantly shooting, although you may not be detected, veteran players will shoot at you and they can citadel you at range. And right off the bat, this is not a 9v9. This is a 5v5 on the Sea of Fortune map, and it's a Tier 7, Tier 8 lobby with 2 destroyers on either side, 2 cruisers, and technically 3 on one, and we have a battleship on ours, but the Kronstadt you could classify as a battle cruiser, a heavy cruiser that is. So it's roughly the exact same makeup. We spawn on this side of the map, which is technically mid, but because we are so short with ships, your battle impact plays a much greater role. You have a lot more to say with the outcome of any match when it is fewer ships versus fewer ships. And the Atlantico and the Ibuki, which is on the far left side, are going to be by themselves, unfortunately. These 2 destroyers are in a division together, and because I am limited with my visibility, not being equipped with radar, I cannot do my own spotting for myself if I'm in a smoke screen. I am relying on them, and I am going to support them. So we are going to head into Alpha, while the remaining 2 of our team on the far left side is going to head into Charlie. And I just wanted to say that a lot of people get upset when they get into these lower ship game modes. I happen to enjoy them. I think it's different. I think it also gets to showcase how good you can play, because, like I said before, your battle impact is much, much better. So for me personally, and I know that that's not always the case with the massive player base, they like being in their 9v9 matches, and I get that, and I wish they had a game mode that allowed you to play and make that an option, but that's not the case. So, but I enjoy it. That's neither here nor there. That's just my opinion. If you have a differing opinion, I get it. So here we are pushing into Alpha. The vast majority of the red team has gone over to Charlie, so our 2 ships over there, unfortunately, are overwhelmed. But they are able to take out one of the ships already, but in doing so, we also lose one. So it's pretty much a 1v4 for our Ibuki over there. Losing our battleship that quickly, I can only assume that the battleship that we had was fully broadside to their team. So not ideal. We're already down in points, although we're both essentially going to cap these caps at the same time. So now it's a 2 cap to 2 cap. No advantage on either side so far. Here we're just taking shots at the Kronstadt. He did pop his radar earlier, so he does not have that at his disposal currently. And at this point, I'm just hoping that our Ibuki can last just long enough for us to get over there and pester the Reds. So he's not long for this world, and we get that. So we've taken Alpha Cap uncontested because none of their team went over there. So we are hurriedly trying to get onto their cap that they've had since the beginning. The Montpellier, which is just outside the cap, is not moving, and he is just farming the Ibuki for damage. So the Mogami is still sailing away, so we are going to focus this Montpellier really, really good. And the Elbing has amazing AP against cruisers, and he gets a good hit, and I'm going to start chiming in, and we get a good hit, and now the Montpellier is backing up going, oh boy, I didn't realize they were over here. The Ibuki finally succumbs to the Reds, and so we are the last 3 remaining. And they have absolutely wiped out that side, but that makes sense when it was a 5v2. It makes sense that they would be able to take that and take it rather quickly. However, we are now capturing Delta. The radar comes in from the Montpellier, so we are not smoking up yet. He is going to come out to start contesting us, and there he goes. He pops up and he starts taking shots at us, which is fine. And at this point, I think that his radar is close to being up, so we're going to pop our first smoke. And because I'm with our destroyers, Well, I was wrong. There's a little bit left, and there it goes. Now it's finally down, and now I'm no longer spotted, and I can farm from relative safety, and our destroyers are doing all of the spotting, and we make very short work of this Montpellier, and there we go. And with that maneuver and having evened up the ship count, we are essentially tied. However, we're negating their points at Delta whilst collecting points from 2 caps versus their 1. And once we capture this, we are going to have a clear advantage, meaning now we can play more defensively and they have to push out against us. The Mogami's coming around the corner. We still have our smoke screen and we still have a minute left on it. I'm just checking again my smoke fire penalty, and unfortunately I'm within it, so these shots are going to reveal me, but we make quick work of that Mogami, focusing him pretty much at the exact same time. And although I got the kill, I did not get the most amount of damage. The destroyer is now in our Bravo cap, so we know where he is. We were briefly spotted with the radar, and here I make a move not realizing the Kronstadt came back, and I gotta be honest, that shot should have devastated me much more than it did. I don't know if some of his shells fell short. We did get hit, but it looks like he got nothing but overpens against us, which I know must be really frustrating for him. It just is what it is. I got away with one is really all that matters at that point. So now I am stern on, which is a good position for me to keep. If he shoots, the only damage he's going to be able to get is in my superstructure, and if he hits my stern, it's going to bounce. Because the Kronstadt has 305s, and there he gets a really good hit. So he aimed high, he aimed exactly where he should have, and he got a much better result with me being stern on, where I'm more likely to bounce than when I was fully broadside, and he got almost no damage. Definitely didn't get any citadels on me. So he is now not spotted, and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the play? I want to support our destroyer. I wanted to follow him, but I was very indecisive in this moment, and then I'm like, okay, I have to commit. But this is where the maneuverability, or the lack thereof, really comes in and bites me. I'm pretty fortunate that I didn't get permanently stuck in this position. But as you can see, I am desperately trying to get out of here, and if I had the tenant build, this would be much easier. However, I'm like Austin Powers in a hallway right now. I'm not doing very good, and here I have to shift my rudder all the way before I can actually back up or move forward. So once I hit the island this last time, I have to stay still and shift my rudder, as you can see me doing, before I can move forward. Otherwise, I am going to just keep bouncing against these walls, and I pay a much better price that time for my horrible maneuvering. It was a little cringy watching that. I was screaming at the TV that, come on, please move, but that's just one of the downsides to this build. Your maneuverability is pretty trash. The Kronstadt does a great job of dodging my torpedoes, and now I'm like, okay, I have to angle and I have to stay bow on, but he's getting good hits on me, so I'm having to heal back, which I do heal back quite a bit of damage. I'm doing the best I can at this point. He's got really good armor, and he is aiming appropriately. He's aiming high, and he's not only getting damage, but he's knocking out my turrets, reducing my DPM on the front. Here the destroyer pops up, who's in alpha now, and he is chiming in with the guns, trying to hit me, and I just get the torpedoes off right before he gets his last salvo. We take him out, and I'm still spotted, so I know he's in alpha. Now I'm not, so my guess is that he is in between that island that's right in front of me, and he's probably coming this way. So I'm trying to switch the guns, and there's torpedoes, so I was correct. I have no hydro. I have no radar because I'm a smoke Edinburg, so I can't I can't see him. And I have no idea where he's going. This is where the radar would really come in handy. My destroyer is with me, but he's going to be going through that gap in between the islands. And I'm just going to come across here, and we're going to try and meet this destroyer in the middle. Unbeknownst to me, though, he is right off my bow, and I'm like, oh crap. So there we get our high caliber for all of our efforts. And I'm turning out, but then I realized, oh, I gotta turn in, but here my maneuverability is just, it's trash. And if I had the tenant build, I might have been able to negate these torpedoes, but I was unable to do so. However, I gave the information that I needed to my team, and our Hayate is going to easily take out this Yugamo, and we win the match. So great teamwork overall, and I had a really fun time, even though it was 5v5. I really like these game modes. Like I said, the battle impact that you can have is pretty big. We got a high caliber, and we were top of the leaderboard, almost hitting 3,000 base XP, even in a 5v5. And we get a GG from the Hayate who survived. So I'm guessing he appreciated my help. So that's going to do it for me today, captains. I hope you enjoyed that. The smoke build is not the playstyle that I'm most used to. However, I did pretty good in that, and it is a viable build. I like being a little bit more agile than that. So that's going to do it for me today, captains. You know the spiel. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. Fair winds and fair seas, captains. I really appreciate all of you for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video. We're going to be looking at the Neptune. So this is the USS Endeavor signing off.